Hey everybody, this is Jeff, and I am finally going to post the last part 5, finishing up here of the electronics and finishing up this mini arcade that I'm showing you a picture of. This is the finished product. It's actually just a picture on my computer at the moment because I'm not in my arcade area, but just wanted to introduce this. And if you haven't watched the other parts, please do so. There's a bunch of parts on this detailed mini cocktail build, but I'm going to go right into the finishing up, which includes the control panels, the graphics, putting the joysticks on, and the buttons, and the bezel, and all the testing and everything that I end up doing to get to this finished product. So hope you enjoy this, and let me know what you think.
Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and do the graphics on the control panel. I am at the point where I'm got to do the joysticks and the buttons, but of course I've got to put the graphics on before I put the joysticks and the buttons on here. So these are very cool graphics. I get most of my graphics at artworkdoctor.com, but these particular ones, these really nice, I love these multi-game ones, and the characters are great on here, and the colors are cool, and I am drawing a total blank on where I get these. I can't remember the name of the place, but if you want to know, just ask me, send me a comment. If I think about where it is, I'll put a blurb up there in the video and let you know where I get them. But really good graphics here, tough stuff, and it's smooth, but it's got like kind of a nice grit to it. So it's really good for your hands. I think it holds up well, and then it doesn't go all the way to the edges because we're going to put the screws down in the wood right here. The very first one I did, I put the screws down inside of it, and it was okay, but I found that this looks better and it's cleaner, and I felt like the graphics would hold up better if the screw didn't actually go down through the graphics. So what I did was I just lined it up, and of course my handy dandy clamps here, if you put the clamp on there, then it'll keep it centered as we go ahead and peel this back. So I'm just going to put this up here, and we'll go ahead and peel this back. And then what you can do is you can trim this here, right? This is kind of what I do, is because, you know, it doesn't matter, I'm going to cover this up, so if there's a little scratch there, it's not going to be a big deal. So just a little trim. Now I don't want to go into the paint on either side when I do that, so you got to be really kind of sure-handed and hope that you actually cut through it, which I didn't. So we're going to do that again. I'm going to go from the middle out. There we go. Now it's cutting it. You can just fold it under too if you want, but I don't know, I like to do it this way because it's a little bit smoother. That way I don't have it bunched under there when I'm trying to put this down. Okay? And then we're just going to put it right over top the holes, and then I'll use this utility knife to cut out the holes, and I'll show you that in a minute. And just go from this side. I'll show you that. I just go back and forth, take it slow. And this is a pretty thick CPO, control panel overlay. So it can handle you doing this. Very sticky on that side. Now we can take these off. Flip that up. easily peel the rest off. And there we go. You can see that? Very nice. And then for the holes, we'll just do this, because you're gonna have these joysticks will have a thing here to cover it. The buttons will have a thing here to cover it. So it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. So I just find the middle. Okay. Cut a slice down there, and then I just kind of slice around that hole. I kind of just feel for it. Trim that out. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Right? You don't want to go too far out. Just make sure you know where you're pushing down there. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to go ahead and trim that a little bit more. But there you go. I mean, you can see that it's pretty rough looking, but it doesn't matter, right? Because this is going to get covered, and it'll be covered all the time, and that's not going to be in the way of anything. So I'm going to go ahead and do these other two holes, put the other overlay on, and then I'll show you how I put the joysticks and the buttons in. Be back. Alright everybody, I got the control panel holes cut out, and I've just got these buttons sitting in here. I kind of have a whole assortment of different buttons, and so usually if somebody's getting one from me like this now, what I'll end up doing is I'll probably take a couple pictures or something like that and email him and see what he wants as far as button colors. But this is what I've picked out. Usually ask my wife because she's good at color coordination, but these blue ones are really nice. I didn't have these before. I've always used red and black, but I actually have some green ones, although that's a little bit of a clash for this color scheme. But these blue ones are really nice, and then we picked out the yellow and red together. But I also have, you know, blue buttons, and I have green buttons, and I even have black buttons. So depending upon the color scheme of what I've done before, and then of course these are always the same color, the 1 and 2 player. So I'll just show you real quick how I'm gonna do all this stuff here. Okay, and usually I just go and do the joystick first. Okay, so these just kind of slide in and out on the buttons. And these buttons are fairly basic, but I'll show you everything because this is what we're doing. So on the joystick, I've got 2 lengths of joysticks here. I actually didn't mean to get this length of joystick, okay? But as you can see, the one on the left here is definitely longer. So I always use these ones, shorter ones, because basically these are cocktail ones. The other ones are sort of for upright cabinets, different types of games. Usually use those taller ones for shooter games and things like that, but we're not doing that. So then first thing I do here, of course, I think I'd mentioned before, is we're going to take off this restrictor plate. Okay, hopefully you can see this. Okay, and again, the middle's for 8-way, this is for 2-way, and this is for 4-way, but we're going to trim these little pieces here. So I just take the old utility knife, and I go in here, and trim these. I'll just show you one, and then I'll do the other ones here and come back in a minute. Okay, so you can see that or not. So I trimmed this one here on this side. And then basically you just make it nice and smooth. If you got to trim it a little bit more, just make it nice and smooth. And that really makes for a good smooth, you know, all the way around. Because if not, it bumps. And when I first got them and tried them, I didn't like it. It just bumped around. It doesn't take me very long. I'll just go ahead and do this. We're not in a hurry here. If you're here listening to the details, then you're not in a big hurry. So it doesn't take too long. And if I feel a bump, it's real easy to take them on and off, so it's not like they get locked in place or anything. And the way I designed this with the screws and everything in the control panels, well, that makes for it to be nice and easy to kind of take on and off when you want to get in and out for testing or for tweaking. So there we go, right? So just trim those up. And then what we'll do is put that on there like that. These two little screws back in there. There we go. And I like to, these always come bent a little bit, but I like to straighten those up. And then the joystick comes with the micro switches in there, so you can hear that. Leaf switches are very nice. I tend to like leaf switches, but I don't dislike micro switches, really. I mean, they're fine. They work just fine for me. Alright, so then you don't have to be exactly on, but I try to get this thing as centered as possible in the middle there. Pop that up a little. Alright. So I want that in the center. And of course I want that, see how that's crooked. You can see that. So I want to spin it a little. And if you want to, you can mark it. Right? You might need to. You might want to mark this with your pencil as you flip it back and forth and kind of make sure it's there. But I know that if I get it close enough that it works perfectly for me. And then if I get one screw in there, well, then that's all I need to do, which I'm going to attempt to do here. Okay. And I'm a little off. First screw is the hardest. Just like when we were doing the cabinet itself. Especially with one hand. But now I've got it started, so now I know where I need to go. Alright, meaning I've got the mark. I just basically marked it by doing that. No, maybe I didn't. Alright, bear with me, guys. Okay. Line that up again. If I don't get it this time, I will mark it. Actually, I'm going to mark it so I don't have to think about it. Because I'm trying to do this and the video at the same time. You saw what I did with the JAMA harness. That was embarrassing. I was just glad that I saw it before I turned it on. And like I said, I don't think it would have done anything anyway, but no need to take a chance. Alright. Sometimes you have to get this. Let me get this started and I'll be back. I have to put it down on the floor. Okay, I'm back. That didn't take long. I just needed two hands down there. And it gets a little tricky because you can't sit it like this because then it pops it through because of the joystick stick part there. And then I always put 4 of these 1/2-inch screws in. If that plate gets in the way, you can always take it off, but I work around it here. And get these in here nice and tight. Definitely want your joystick on there nice and tight. Okay, so there we go. Joystick's mounted, just like that. Alright, and then we can slide our buttons in here. Got our 1 player, and then once you slide it in there, you're going to take the rings that come with it. And then with these, I gotta hold it just right. The other ones, it doesn't matter, but these, I want these to, the 1 player and 2 player, to line up. So I hold it down. And then just screw it on hand tight. Pretty tight. Tighten it nice and tight. Okay. And then once you get that in there, then you put your little micro switch in. So these are the micro switches. So that's going to hit the bottom, right? And these are a little funny. They're a little tricky to figure out how to pop in there, but once you get the hang of it, see, I'm already doing this wrong. There. I think that's it. Alright, so we're in. And now, I hit that button. There we go. It's the micro switch. Alright, and that's it. That's the buttons. That's the joystick. I'm going to go ahead and put the other ones on and I'll be back. Alright, I want to go ahead and show you how I'm going to clamp this down here. This SD card extender. So you just shove her through there and make it flush, right, and kind of get it ready. And I'm going to put a little makeshift clamp that I have here. Basically, it started out with, this is kind of what I have. I used to have some a roll of this sort of clamping stuff. It's getting late, so please don't mind my terminology here. I'm at a loss for words, but this hose clamp here, I just had a couple, so I went ahead and just cut this out with my little tin snips, trimmed that off, and drilled a couple little holes in there so the screws will go through nice. And then, as you can see, I've just kind of got it ready to go over top of that, and it'll hold it down there nicely. So let me go ahead and just screw that in there, and I'll show you how I screw that in. So it'll just go over top of that, and it'll hold it down nice and tight. It's not going to go anywhere with this thing if you size it right. And again, we're just going to use our little 1/2-inch screws. Told you we'd use a lot of these little things. Make sure I know where I want to put this. Okay. I'm just going to put it in a little bit until I get the other one in, and then I can tighten it down. It's pretty sturdy plastic, so it's not like I have to worry about it breaking or anything, but you know, if it's real tight, you may want to just, you know, move these holes in a little bit. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just use a regular screwdriver now. Okay. Got that in there pretty snug. And that is plenty tight enough. I don't need to go any tighter on that. Last thing we want is for it to crack, but like I said, it's pretty tough. So there's the finished product on that. Pretty simple, but that keeps that thing from moving anywhere. When you push this thing in and out, it's not going to move. And then of course, we'll take our SD card out. Set that right there for now. And then we will spin that around. These things are pretty awesome. And put that in there like that. I don't like that. I don't like the way that's sitting. I'm going to go ahead and just flip it around a little bit. Okay. And there we go. There. I like that to kind of pop up, because this will be kind of free flowing in here, and that's okay, because I just don't want to mess with any of this ribbon right here. So it'll just kind of sit like that. And then of course we'll take our SD card.
Alright guys, so I moved out here to my basement floor, and the reason is it's easier to kind of wire the way I want to wire. I can take the control panels, as you can see. Let me just back up and so you can see how I basically set the control panels out like that, so that if you need to take the control panel off, you have the ability to have enough wire to get to this point and set it down. I don't want the wires to be too tight. So I've just found that it's easier to kind of just lay a little blanket down here and start wiring. So let me just show you what I did. I wanted to spare you of all the small details of the wires. So I showed you earlier the colors. So let me just show you this. Hopefully this is bright enough that you can see. So I've got the 6 wires coming over here, and so we've got, you know, green and yellow and red and orange coming into the joystick. Fire 1 is the blue, and Fire 2 is the purple. And if I can maybe zoom in on one of these and focus. So you can see the purple wire goes to the bottom part of the micro switch, and then the ground wires all go on the top piece. So all the colored wires from the JAMA harness, the hot wire I guess you would call it, the low voltage hot wire coming over there, will go on the bottom part of the micro switch. And then you can take the, as you can see, this ground wire, and what I did with the ground wire is you've got this long ground wire and it's all looped together. It's really nice the way they give you this in the JAMA harness, because they know that basically your buttons are only going to be so far apart. And so this black wire comes in here, you hook it to the top, and then it's just got a little loop, and it's got another hook on it, and then you hook it down there, and you hook to here, and you so on and so forth, and you can loop it around. And then when I get to this one, I come over here and you can see what you want to do is you're going to have more loops, you're going to have more hooks, but I don't need that many, right? But I need to run that ground wire all the way over here to these. And my very last ground wire of the end of the wire is this one here. But in between there, you've got a bunch of them, and so you've got to run a little electrical tape of some sort and tape those up, because you don't want those touching like a speaker or a piece of metal in there, because it will ground out and it'll just start flaking out your board. And I haven't any permanent damage of any sort, but you know, you'll start to press buttons and just weird stuff starts happening. And this is all from experience of just going, what the heck is going on? And you know, I found out that one of these wires was touching this brace, and that's what did it. So I started wiring, making sure these are all taken care of. And then all my wires are consolidated right there, right? So I'm not going to do it yet, but I will put some zip ties on here to really tighten that up. But until I test it, I'm not going to put the permanent zip ties on there. And then what we have left is I've got these little braces. I actually, not braces, but like tie downs. I put one there for those wires just to keep them in place. And what I found out was one time I shipped one, and as tight as this is, right, this is actually very tight on here. Somehow or another this JAMA harness during shipping came off. So I've actually added these nice little braces, and I'll put one on each end, just like that. So then you just hammer it down in there, and it holds this in place. So these braces actually work perfectly. It's almost like they were made for it. You can see how it fits on there nicely. So I'll put those two pieces on there, and then what I will show you is the SD card extender. Okay, so here's the SD card extender, and of course this will go into the board right here, and this will go right inside of there. Okay, so it'll fit in there nicely, and then I'll show you what I end up. I'll find a little strap to strap over top of that to hold it in place, and those are the last pieces to do before I test. I'm trying to think of anything else, and then I can put the feet on at the very end that I got sitting over here. I got the feet, screws, and washers. Those are my screws for the control panel, and that is about it. I've got to get the VGA cable and the monitor, of course, and then I'll bundle that up in there, and then I'll show you once it's all clean and everything. I'll just go through it one more time and just kind of show you an overview of how I finalize it, and of course I'll show you the SD card extender and how I put that in. So I will be back in a few minutes. My flip just got full there, so hopefully you can see that, and we'll just put the little SD card in there. I don't know where it cut off last time, right? But then you'll hear it, and it just pops in there, just like kind of like a laptop. So now, when you need to do updates to the card or anything like that, you don't have to take the thing apart. You can just pull it right out, and it's black, so it looks pretty good sitting there. So that's the last piece. I've got these in, and I've got that on. So I could actually pop this thing together and do a little test, which we'll do now. Alright, got my iPhone kind of in a makeshift position here, so hopefully you can see this. So I got the VGA cable attached to the card, and I went ahead and just bundled it up here right where I would keep all of my other cables. So then this will all get kind of a couple big zip ties over it here eventually. But again, I like to give myself enough slack. As you can see, the power cable and VGA cable are hooked to the monitor here, so it gives me enough slack that if I have to, pull this out, or whoever owns this has to pull out the monitor, has to really go that far and dig in there and troubleshoot or change anything, well, then they have enough slack to get these things out. So I should turn it on. Actually, I need a power cord real quick. Hold on. I got this nice long power cord that'll should reach. And it does just reach. Well, almost. Move it a little, kind of tight, but that's okay. Move it just a little bit. And then what I can do is I can go ahead and just place these in place so that we can test it out. And without putting screws in yet, which is okay, because I want to make sure it all works first. And I can actually just set this in here.
for now. I'm not going to make it look perfect or anything. I'm just kind of sitting it there. Okay. And there comes the power for the monitor. And it's blinking, so something's wrong. So let me turn it off. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Take this back off. Let me turn it back on. That sounded okay. Alright. Something's going on there. Okay, I got this off. Nothing problem there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this SD card and I'm going to put it back over here and see if it has anything to do with that. And I didn't think it would. Thought I'd try. Okay, something's fishy here, so let me troubleshoot this for a few minutes and then I'll come back to you and I'll tell you what happened. Okay, I finally figured out what it was that went wrong here. If you watched the video earlier, you'll know that during my videoing, I've been distracted a couple times. Never had this happen before, but I had switched this JAMA harness and it was on the wrong way. Well, I had switched it back, but I'd already run the 1-player wires over here and the 2-player wires over here, and I had it all wired up, and couldn't figure out what was going on there. A lot of things was working. I got it to come on and everything, but this joystick wasn't. And I found out that I had the wires backwards, 1 and 2-player wires. So that was not a big deal at all. Nothing was grounding out. Board was fine. Everything was fine. So I just had to rerun the wires for the 1 and 2-player to the correct spot. So now we can go back to where I was. And I will go ahead and pop this in here. Okay. And I happen to know it works now, so I'm not overly concerned. And then we'll just kind of sit this in here like I was going to do before, like such. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and this gets a little tight, which is good. We want it tight. But I'm going to pop this on here. I'm going to actually, everything's all ready. So, once I get that right there, I know I lined this up and it was working fine. Well, we'll fix that in a minute. I'm not worried about that. I just want to show you the testing here. Plug it back in. And now it comes on and we're up and we're moving. So if we start the game, let's go 2-player. I don't have it very loud right now. We got up, down, left, and right's working. Jumps working. And then we'll go to player 2. Up, down, left and right, and jump. And there we go. Let me go ahead and crank that up on the volume there. So you can really take it all the way up. Like this is all the way up. And we'll do the same game. So, plenty loud enough. Crazy game. It's actually a lot of fun. So, there we go. Let me center this monitor up a little bit better and get everything ready, and then we'll screw the bezel on and I'll show you the bezel. I'll be right back. Before I close it up, I just wanted to give you one last look here, just to show you what the end results are. So I've got zip ties on here. Nothing fancy here. You saw everything, how it went in, but just wanted to give you one last look. Everything's tight, but it's nice and neat. You got your 2 speakers and your arcade SD there, and power supply and everything, and SD card extender. So last look on the inside before I close it up. Shouldn't have to open it back up again. And there we go. And I'll be back after it's closed up and I'll show you how to put the bezel on. Alright, I decided to bring this back in here. There's better light and I'm not squatting down on the ground, killing my back. So, alright, so I've got everything together. I went ahead and screwed these screws into the control panels. Everything's fitting nicely. I just wanted to show you the bezel here. So the bezel is on, so I'm going to actually go ahead and peel it off now. And we'll get to see the finished results of how this looks. Like I said, I don't like to do this until the very end. Sometimes there's a little static. There we go. Came off nice. That came off very nice. Although I'll have to clean the back. So let me clean it real quick. I'll clean everything out before I put the screws in, because then otherwise I'm just wasting my time. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, got it cleaned up. Looking very good, if you ask me. And then again, I just used these little black screws I showed you earlier. Hopefully you can see that. Not really sure, but had a couple different options. And I'll screw these in pretty far down, but the very last bits I'll use the regular screwdriver. Definitely don't want to crack this. And also you'll end up kind of maybe loosening or tightening a little bit depending upon the way it looks. You know, try to even it out. So far, so good. Okay. Couple more to go on this side. Hope that. Okay, that worked out all right. But that hole was a little off there for some reason, but it came back. I had a lot of trouble with that before. That's why the process of the way you end up drilling these holes needs to be just right on. Loosen that hair. Maybe a hair there. Yep, that's fine. Kind of got a glare there. That looks pretty good. Looks good all the way around, I think. looking good. All right. And let's just go ahead and power it up here. See what happens. And let me get this so I can show you guys. And there we go. That's what it looks like. So if you can kind of see how that bezel looks. It's nice and shiny on that side. Let's see, let's pick a game that's got some brightness in it. And you can see how, what was it? Maybe Dig Dug or something. Here we go. So you can see how you got that black outline there. Got it plenty loud enough. Like I said, it's got all the way up right now, so let's go ahead and turn that down a bit. I think about 10's probably good. There's a little Donkey Kong. So there we go. And what I'll do is I'll test all the games a bit, make sure everything works, make sure all the buttons work. But you know, there's your finished product. I mean, literally, that's it. I'm done. You know, I'll give you one last look over on the electronics and how everything looks. Best I can from this angle here in the workshop. And show you one more time the SD card over here. Right, so if I turn it off here for a second, I can show you how that baby just pops in and out. And take it out and put it in. Test switch looks nice. And of course, you gotta love how this baby comes up in 5 seconds or less. And it's ready to play. This looks pretty good for homemade. You know, I think it turned out pretty nice, and you can get to all the adjustments if somehow or another you want to brighten it or darken it. Let me turn off this main light. Well, that's a little better. I got that one light up there, but that gives you a nice look of how everything is looking. So gotta love Galaga. So there we go. There's your mini cocktail arcade. I had a good time doing this. I hope that you enjoyed the electronics portion. I hope you enjoyed all of it. I'm going to go ahead and close with this right here. But if you have any questions, comments, of course, please do let me know if it was too detailed, too long. I mean, everybody's got their preferences, but they were supposed to be detailed. And I knew it was going to be long in some of these ways. So I did. I'm glad I had a good time doing it, and obviously the guy I did this for is hopefully he's going to be happy, and he's going to know every single thing that went into putting this thing together. So I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. And until next time, again, if you have any questions, comments, let me know. Until then, game on.